You're sitting there. Everything feels normal. Then your phone buzzes. We need to talk. Your stomach drops. She just got back from girls' night, or brunch, or that weekend trip with her friends. And now you're the problem. Things you said 3 months ago, suddenly they matter. Decisions you both agreed on, now they're your fault. The peaceful relationship you had yesterday, gone. What happened in those few hours she was away from you? Here's what most men think. Her friends poisoned her. They turned her against you. They filled her head with negative thoughts. If only she would stop seeing them, everything would go back to normal. But that's the comfortable lie, the uncomfortable truth. Her friends didn't change anything. They revealed everything. Carl Jung spent his entire life studying the human shadow, the parts of ourselves we hide, the thoughts we won't admit, the beliefs we're afraid to speak out loud. And Jung discovered something that will change how you see every relationship. He said people don't choose friends randomly. They choose friends who reflect their hidden self. Think about that. Your girlfriend's toxic friend who always tells her to leave you, she didn't randomly appear. Your girlfriend chose her, sought her out, kept her close. That bitter divorced friend who sees red flags in everything you do? Your girlfriend values her opinion, trusts her advice, calls her first when there's a problem. These aren't accidents. These are choices. Deliberate selections that reveal who your girlfriend really is inside. Now here's where it gets interesting and painful. Jung called this participation mystique. It's when we unconsciously merge with groups that mirror our hidden psychology. Your girlfriend's friend group isn't just a social circle. It's just a psychological echo chamber she built to validate the parts of herself she won't show you. The complainer finds the complainer. The victim finds the victim. The relationship doubter finds other relationship doubters. Not by chance, by design. Sigmund Freud backed this up with his work on projection. He proved that thoughts don't appear from nowhere. They rise from tensions already present in the mind. When her friend says you're controlling, that thought was already in your girlfriend's head. The friend just gave it permission to come out. Arthur Schopenhauer was even more direct. He said, we don't see things as they are. We see things as we are. Your girlfriend's friends aren't showing her a new reality. They're reflecting the reality she already believes. This is the hard pill to swallow. The one most men refuse to take. When she comes home from seeing her friends and suddenly you're the enemy, her friends didn't create that enemy. They just gave her permission to say it out loud. I know what you're thinking. But they're influencing her. They're putting ideas in her head. If she just stopped seeing them, we'd be fine. Wrong. And here's how I know you're wrong. I watched this happen to a friend of mine. His girlfriend had this friend. Let's call her Rachel. Rachel was divorced. Bitter, always talking about how men are trash, how relationships are traps, how women need to leave at the first sign of trouble. My friend blamed Rachel for everything. She's poisoning my girlfriend against me. She's the problem. If Rachel wasn't around, everything would be perfect. Then Rachel moved. Across the country, different time zone, barely any contact. My friend was relieved. Finally, the toxic influence is gone. 3 months later, his girlfriend had a new best friend. Let's call her Michelle. Same energy. Same advice. Same toxicity. Always telling her to question the relationship. Always finding problems where none existed. Always encouraging her to leave. Because his girlfriend wasn't corrupted by Rachel. She was attracted to Rachel's worldview. When Rachel left, she didn't change her beliefs. She just found a new mirror. Robert Greene teaches this in The Laws of Power. People reveal themselves through their associations. Show me who someone spends time with, and I'll show you who they really are inside. Your girlfriend's friend group is a diagnostic tool. It reveals her internal psychology faster than any conversation ever could. Machiavelli understood this 500 years ago. He said people align with power that protects their self-image. Friends don't protect truth. They protect identity. So if your girlfriend's identity is fragile, she'd choose friends who protect it at all costs. Even if it destroys your relationship. Even if it destroys her. Now let me show you something that will change everything. I call it the friend group mirror theory. It's simple. Her friends are mirrors, not mind controllers. Mirrors only show what already exists. If her friends can turn her against you, she was already turnable. Strong bonds don't break from outside noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote that no one can harm you without your consent. That includes emotional harm. If her trust in you is deep, her friends bounce off. If her trust is shallow, her friends cut deep. This is why some women go out with friends and come home loving their partner more, and others come home ready to fight. Same activity, different internal state. Jung said the most dangerous thing isn't the shadow itself, it's refusing to see it. Her friends create permission. Permission to speak thoughts she already has. Permission to feel feelings she's been hiding. Permission to believe doubts she's been suppressing. They don't invent the doubts. They validate them. And validation is the most powerful drug in human psychology. So before you blame her friends, ask yourself this question. What do her friends reveal about who she really is? Because once you answer that question honestly, everything else becomes clear. In the next segment, I'm going to show you the 4 types of friend influence that destroy relationships. And more importantly, how to read them before it's too late. But only if you're ready to see clearly. Most men make the same mistake. They try to fight every toxic friend individually. Block Jessica. Here comes Jennifer. Cut off Amy. Meet Amanda. It's exhausting, and it never works. Because you're fighting symptoms, not the disease. What you need is a framework. A way to understand what her friends reveal about her psychology. So you can stop reacting and start evaluating. I call it the VENT model. 4 types of friends that expose who your girlfriend really is inside. Once you understand these types, you'll never be confused again. V stands for validators. These are the friends who agree with everything she says. Every complaint is justified. Every feeling is valid. Every problem is someone else's fault. You forgot her birthday last year? That's emotional neglect. You work late? That's abandonment. You need space? That's rejection. The validator never challenges her. Never asks if maybe she's overreacting. Never suggests she might be part of the problem. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious running wild. When a group agrees on a false reality, that reality becomes true for everyone in the group. Your girlfriend brings a small frustration to her validator friends. They blow it up into a major issue. She brings it home as a crisis. But here's what the validators reveal. Your girlfriend is attracted to unconditional agreement. She doesn't want truth. She wants validation. She doesn't want growth. She wants confirmation that she's always right. Jordan Peterson talks about this constantly. People who surround themselves with yes men never develop. They stay children emotionally, always the victim, never responsible. If your girlfriend's friend group is full of validators, she's not looking for honest feedback. She's looking for permission to blame you for everything. The validator's signature phrase? You deserve better. They never define what better means. Just that you're not it. E stands for escapists. These are the party friends. The girls who never grew up. Still living like they're 22 when they're 35. Every weekend is clubs and shots. Every conversation is about hot guys and wild nights. Around these friends, your girlfriend transforms. The mature woman you know becomes someone unrecognizable. She dresses differently, talks differently, acts differently. Nietzsche warned about this. He said some people use pleasure to escape reality instead of enhance it. The escapist friend keeps your girlfriend in permanent adolescence. She can't face adult responsibilities, can't handle commitment, can't accept that life requires sacrifice. Here's what escapists reveal. Your girlfriend is running from something, maybe maturity, maybe responsibility, maybe the reality of who she actually is. Freud would call this regression. Going backwards psychologically when forward is too scary. Every time she goes out with her escapist friends, she's rehearsing a life without you. Testing what it feels like to be single again, practicing her exit. The escapist's signature phrase? You only live once. Translation. Your commitment is a cage. Your relationship is a prison. Freedom means leaving you. If her closest friends are escapists, she's one bad night away from blowing up your entire relationship for a temporary thrill. N stands for negativists. These are the bitter ones. The divorced friends who see every relationship through the lens of their failure. The perpetually single friends who've given up on love. The cheated on friends who see betrayal everywhere. The negativist projects her trauma onto your girlfriend's reality. Every late text means cheating. Every argument means it's over. Every small conflict is a red flag that proves all men are the same. Schopenhauer understood this perfectly. He said suffering people pull others into their suffering to feel less alone. Misery doesn't just love company, it recruits it. Here's what negativists reveal. Your girlfriend is attracted to catastrophic thinking. She wants permission to see the worst in everything. She wants to believe that disaster is always one fight away. Marcus Aurelius taught that we become what we repeatedly expose ourselves to. If your girlfriend constantly surrounds herself with relationship pessimism, she's rehearsing her own breakup. She's training her mind to see failure. The negativist's signature phrase? My ex did that right before he left. Every behavior you have gets compared to someone else's terrible relationship. You're not you anymore. You're every man who ever hurt anyone. If her friend group is dominated by negativists, your relationship is on borrowed time. She's building a mental case against you, and her friends are supplying the evidence. T stands for testers. These are the most dangerous friends. The ones who actively work to break you two up. Not obviously, subtly. The tester flirts with you to see if you'll respond. The tester asks loaded questions about your relationship in front of your girlfriend. The tester creates situations designed to make you fail. Machiavelli wrote about people like this. He said some individuals need to prove that everyone is corruptible to justify their own corruption. If they can break your relationship, it proves their cynicism was right all along. Here's what testers reveal. Your girlfriend keeps people around who are actively trying to destroy what you've built. She values their friendship more than your relationship's safety. She allows them access to you, to her, to your private life. Robert Greene would say this clearly. When someone allows toxic people to test you, they're hoping you'll fail. Part of them wants the drama. Part of them wants the excuse to leave. The tester's signature phrase? I'm just looking out for you, while actively undermining your relationship behind the scenes. If your girlfriend has testers in her inner circle, she's unconsciously sabotaging your relationship. She keeps chaos agents close because chaos feels more familiar than peace. Now here's the framework that changes everything. Most women have a mix of these friend types, but there's always a dominant pattern. Count them. How many validators? How many escapists? How many negativists? How many testers? The dominant type reveals her dominant psychology. Mostly validators? She needs constant reassurance that she's never wrong. Mostly escapists? She's not ready for real commitment. Mostly negativists? She's preparing for failure. Mostly testers? She wants the relationship to fail. Jung said we cannot change what we refuse to see. Her friend group forces you to see who she really is. The question isn't how do I change her friends? The question is, do I accept what her friends reveal? In the next segment, I'm going to show you the biggest mistake men make when they finally see the truth, and why that mistake guarantees the relationship's destruction. So now you see it. Her friends are toxic. They're validators or escapists or negativists or testers. They're destroying your relationship from the inside, and you make the decision. I need to stop this. You can't see her anymore. I don't want you talking to them. It's me or your friends. Choose. Congratulations, you just lost. Not eventually, immediately. Because you walk straight into the control trap, and the control trap always ends the same way. Deception, resentment, relationship death. Let me explain why this happens. And why even men with good intentions destroy everything when they try to manage her friendships. Epictetus taught one of the most important lessons in philosophy. You cannot control others. Only your response to them. The moment you try to control her friendships, you confirm every negative story her friends already tell about you. You're controlling. You're insecure. You're isolating her. Now you're not a partner anymore. You're a villain. And villains create heroes. Guess who the heroes are? Her friends. Thomas Hobbes understood this perfectly. He said forced obedience breeds quiet hatred. You might get compliance on the surface. She might agree not to see them. But underneath, hatred grows, and hatred grows in silence, in secret, in the space between what she says and what she actually does. Here's what actually happens when you forbid her friendships. She doesn't stop seeing them. She starts lying to you. Work emergency on Friday night. Gym class that lasts 4 hours. Coffee with a coworker who doesn't exist. Family visit where family never saw her. Every restriction you place becomes a battle. Every boundary becomes a war. And wars require strategy. Her strategy becomes deception. I watched this destroy my neighbor's marriage. He forbade his wife from seeing her party friends, thought he was protecting the relationship, thought he was being strong. She started having emergencies, late meetings, unexpected obligations. He thought he won because she wasn't going out anymore. 6 months later, he found the second phone, the hidden social media account, the secret group chat. She'd been seeing them the entire time, just hiding it. The marriage didn't survive, not because of the friends, because of the control and the deception that followed. Robert Greene teaches this in the 48 Laws. When you try to control someone, you make them want freedom more than anything else. You turn yourself into the prison they need to escape. Jung said something even deeper. He said the shadow grows stronger when suppressed. When you forbid her from seeing her friends, you don't eliminate their influence. You make it more powerful. Now every conversation with them feels forbidden, exciting, important. You've turned her toxic friends into rebels, and she's rebelling with them. Freud called this the return of the repressed. What you push down always comes back stronger. You can't eliminate her need for those friendships by forbidding them. You just make that need more intense. Here's the mechanism most men don't understand. Her friends represent something psychological: freedom, identity, independence, validation. When you attack her friends, you're attacking those needs. And psychological needs don't disappear when suppressed. They explode. I counseled a couple where the husband forbade the wife from seeing her divorced friend. He thought the friend was poisoning her mind. Maybe he was right. But here's what happened. The wife stopped venting to her friend, started venting only to herself. Thoughts spiraled, resentments built, assumptions multiplied without reality checks. 6 months later, she exploded. I've been thinking about leaving for months. I can't do this anymore. He removed the pressure valve, then wondered why the boiler exploded. Jordan Peterson talks about this constantly. When you prevent someone from processing emotions externally, those emotions process internally. And internal processing without feedback creates distortion. Her friend might have been toxic, but at least she was diffusing the bomb slowly, letting small frustrations out bit by bit. Remove that outlet, the frustrations don't disappear. They accumulate, build pressure, then detonate all at once. Machiavelli warned that obvious control creates obvious rebellion. Subtle control works better. But the best control is no control at all, just influence through value. Here's what subtle control looks like. You can see them, but only when I'm there. You can talk to them, but don't tell them our private business. You can maintain the friendship, but I need to approve how often. This feels smarter, more reasonable, more mature. It's not. It's just slower poison. Because she feels the leash even if it's longer. She knows you're managing her, monitoring her, controlling her movements while pretending you're not. Nietzsche said resentment is the poison of long-term subtle oppression. Quick obvious control creates quick obvious rebellion. Subtle long-term control creates deep hidden resentment that kills relationships slowly. Now here's the part that's hardest to accept. Even if you successfully isolated her from every toxic friend, the core problem remains. Her insecurities don't disappear. Her victim mentality doesn't vanish. Her attraction to negativity doesn't change. Her personality doesn't transform. You've just removed the external symptom. The internal disease still grows. Schopenhauer taught that character is unchangeable from outside force. People only change from internal realization. You cannot force her to see her friends differently. She has to see it herself. And here's the brutal truth. If she doesn't see it herself, she never will. Not because you explained it, not because you forbade it, not because you gave ultimatums. Self-change only happens when someone chooses it themselves. You cannot force growth. You cannot mandate maturity. You cannot demand she recognize toxicity. Any change forced externally is temporary, and it breeds resentment that eventually destroys everything. I watched a woman gradually distance herself from toxic friends, not because her boyfriend demanded it, but because she became a mother. Her priorities shifted. She realized those friendships didn't serve her new life. That's real change. That's sustainable. That's internal evolution, not external force. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the obstacle is the way. Her toxic friends aren't obstacles to overcome. They're information to evaluate. They show you who she is, what she values, what she's attracted to, what resonates with her psychology. The question isn't how do I remove them? The question is, what do they reveal about whether she's right for me? In the next segment, I'm going to show you the 3-strike framework, how to evaluate her friend influence without controlling it, and how to know when it's time to walk away. So you can't control her friends. You can't forbid the relationships. You can't force her to see what you see. What can you do? You evaluate, you observe, you decide. This is where weak men and strong men separate. Weak men react. Strong men assess. Weak men fight influence. Strong men read patterns, and patterns never lie. I'm going to give you a framework that changes everything. I call it the 3-strike audit. 3 questions to ask after she spends time with her friends. 3 data points that reveal everything you need to know. This isn't about controlling her. It's about understanding what her friend time reveals, so you can make informed decisions about your future. Carl Jung said the psyche reveals itself through patterns, not moments. One bad night after seeing friends means nothing. A consistent pattern means everything. Here's how the 3-strike audit works. Strike 1. Energy direction. When she comes home from seeing her friends, pay attention to her energy. Not her words, her energy. Does she come home wanting to fix things with you? Or does she come home wanting to fix you? Does she say we need to work on communication? Or does she say you need to stop being defensive? Does she approach problems as shared challenges? Or does she approach them as your failures? Freud taught that the unconscious reveals itself in prepositions, with you versus at you, us versus you, partnership versus prosecution. If she consistently comes home with energy directed at you, her friends are reinforcing a victim narrative. She's the innocent. You're the perpetrator. Every problem has you as the cause. That's strike 1. But one instance means nothing. Human beings have bad days. Sometimes friends amplify temporary frustration. That's normal. The question is pattern. Does this happen once? Or does this happen every time? Strike 2. Responsibility split. When issues come up after friend time, does she own any part of the problem? Or is everything your fault? Arthur Schopenhauer said maturity is measured by the ability to hold multiple truths simultaneously. A mature person can say, I'm hurt by what you did, and I also contributed to this situation. An immature person can only see one truth, their pain, your fault, their victimhood, your villainy. Listen carefully to how she frames conflicts after seeing her friends. Does she ever say, I could have handled that better? Or is every sentence about what you did wrong? Does she acknowledge her role in misunderstandings? Or does she present herself as perpetually wronged? Jordan Peterson talks about this constantly. People who cannot take responsibility cannot have healthy relationships. They will always need someone to blame. That someone will always be you. If her friends reinforce the belief that she bears no responsibility for relationship problems, that's strike 2. Again, context matters. One emotional conversation where she's upset and not thinking clearly? Normal. A consistent pattern where she never owns anything? Problem. Strike 3. Pattern consistency. This is the most important strike. Is what you're seeing new, or is this who she's always been with them? Nietzsche said we wear masks for strangers and reveal ourselves to intimates, but he was wrong about one thing. We also reveal ourselves to friends in ways we hide from partners. Around friends, the performance drops, the real personality emerges. If she's consistently different after friend time, that's not influence, that's revelation. Does she come home angrier every single time? Does she question the relationship after every girls' night? Does she bring up the same old issues after every brunch? Pattern consistency reveals core psychology. Once is an incident. Twice is a coincidence. 3 times is character. If you've seen this pattern 3 times or more, that's strike 3. Now here's how you use the 3-strike framework. Strike 1 alone, observe. Don't react. Don't accuse. Don't control. Just file it away as data. Maybe it was a bad day. Maybe her friend was going through something. Maybe it means nothing. Strike 2, now you have a pattern forming. This is when you have a calm conversation, not an accusation. A curiosity. Hey, I noticed something. When you come back from seeing Sarah, things feel tense between us. Have you noticed that too? Not controlling, not forbidding, just observing out loud, giving her a chance to recognize the pattern herself. Marcus Aurelius taught that observation without judgment creates space for truth. If you accuse, she defends. If you observe, she might actually see. Strike 3, now you have consistent data. This isn't random. This isn't circumstantial. This is who she is. This is what her friend group reveals about her psychology. At strike 3, you're not having a conversation about her friends anymore. You're having a conversation with yourself about compatibility. Robert Greene says the most powerful position is the one where you're willing to walk away. Strike 3 gives you clarity, and clarity gives you power. Here's the framework in action. Real example. Guy I know. His girlfriend goes out with friends every Friday. First Friday, she comes home quiet, little distant. Strike 1. He observes, says nothing. Second Friday. She comes home and immediately starts a fight about something from 2 weeks ago. Strike 2. He asks, do you notice you seem upset after Fridays with your friends? She gets defensive. They're not the problem. You're too sensitive. Red flag, but he gives her space. Third Friday, same pattern. Comes home, picks a fight. Blames him for everything. Refuses to see her part in anything. Strike 3. Now he has data. This isn't about one bad night. This is a pattern. Her friends don't make her a better partner. They make her a worse one. So he has a different conversation. Not about her friends, about the relationship. I've noticed when you spend time with your friends, you come home seeing me as the problem. Every time. I'm not asking you to stop seeing them. But I need to think about whether this pattern works for me, not controlling. Not ultimatums, just honest evaluation. She has a choice. Recognize the pattern and change it. Or continue the pattern and lose him. Either way, he's no longer trapped. He's no longer fighting her friends. He's evaluating compatibility based on data. Epictetus taught that freedom comes from accepting what you cannot control and acting on what you can. You cannot control her friends. You cannot control her reaction to them. But you can control whether you stay in a relationship where her friends consistently turn her against you. Plato said the unexamined life is not worth living. The unexamined relationship is not worth staying in. Her friends are the examination. They reveal her character faster than years of dating ever could. Some women come home from friends more grateful for their partner, more aware of how good they have it, more committed to making things work. Others come home ready for war. Same activity, different internal psychology. The 3-strike framework shows you which one you're dating before you waste years, before you marry the wrong person, before you build a life with someone whose friend group will always work against you. In the final segment, I'm going to show you the ultimate reframe. The question that separates men who stay trapped from men who break free. And why walking away is sometimes the strongest thing you can do. Segment 1, the mirror effect, foundation. Segment 2, VENT framework, education. Segment 3, the control trap, warning. Segment 4, 3-strike audit tool. Segment 5, the final reframe, liberation.